Good morning, everyone. Um, Hope everyone's doing well today. Just going to adjust this here. Give people a minute to join us before I get started. Hope things are going as well as expected for people. Hey, Caitlin. Got Caitlin here. Who else is here? It says 2 people. Savannah's here. Madison, happy birthday. And I guess that means it's Lily's birthday too. So happy birthday to Lily also. We're going to read the next chapter today, but then we're also, I had thrown out a question and idea form a few days ago about questions I can answer or ideas that we can get to. So I'm going to read some of those on here today and go through those. I also had the I need a haircut poll that I posted. What should I do? And talk about the results of that so far. So anyway, how's everyone doing? Madison, how are you celebrating your birthday today? Is there going to be a cake? Is there going to be like a special birthday dinner cooked or delivered? Hey, Ava's here. So I have another alumni here. It is Ava from my class last year. So it's nice to see that she's joined. Isabella's here. Say hi, Isabella. Okay. Remember Ava from last year's class? Look, she's here. She's watching.
Yay!
Yeah. Say hi, Ava.
Hi, Ava.
All right. So Madison is going to get takeout for her birthday, and Mom's baking a cake. That sounds like a good birthday. Okay. What takeout are you going to get? I'm really curious. Ava said hi, Isabella. Also, Madison, I think when you, I think instead of takeout, you should get delivery and have the delivery person sing happy birthday to you. Just to make it a birthday party, you know? Hey, Junior's here from 2 years ago. Oh, wow. This is like a party today. Junior was in my class 2 years ago, and now he's here today. God, no, Madison said. I think we should sing happy birthday to Madison today. Or maybe that'll be something I can Instagram live later. She's saying no. Everyone can type happy birthday at once. What do you think of that? It's Throwback Tuesday. You know, another idea is thinking we should make like next week a Spirit Week and pick theme days. Like you know, we could do like Crazy Hair Day or Hat Day. Oh, Zoe's here. It's nice to see Zoe here. Yeah, Throwback Tuesday with all the old students. But no, here's my idea. I think we should do theme days. Like one day can be like Crazy Hair Day. And like everyone can like post pictures of themselves somewhere with crazy hair. I feel like we shouldn't do Pajama Day because I feel like everyone's doing Pajama Day most days right now. So we should have like Get Dressed Up Day. Yeah, Pajama Day every day over here, right? Yeah, we could. Yeah, Caitlin, on Instagram, people can like post. I feel like we should do a Get Dressed Up Day since everyone's probably sick of wearing pajamas, and we can. Yeah, people's parents can text or email me pictures, and I'll post them on the Instagram. All right. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to create a Google form. and I'm going to throw it in Google Classroom today. And over the next couple days, I want you to sort of give me your best ideas for theme days. And by the end of the week, I'll set a schedule for next week's themes for each day. Okay? All right, so let's get to the book today. We are on Los Duraznos, which are peaches. Okay, page 214 if you have your book to follow along. And we are going to read that today. And as I told you, what? I can't hear you. Now you're talking even quieter. I'll talk to you when we're done. So we're going to read this chapter today. It's a little bit of a long one, but then after that, there's only one more chapter. So tomorrow we'll finish the book. Maybe I'll read the author's note on Thursday, and then we'll go from there. Maybe Friday I'll do a picture book read aloud, and then maybe next, if not, we can think of some other ideas. So Zoe, it's Madison's birthday, so she's gonna have a party with a delivery person. Well, you want to play guitar? Or well, it's not the variety show right now, so all right. Now, along with her prayers for Abuelita and Mama, Esperanza prayed for Marta and her mother at the washtub grotto. Papa's roses, although still short and squat, had promising tight buds. But they weren't the only flowers there. She often found that someone had put a posy of sweet alyssum in front of the statue, or a single iris, or had draped a honeysuckle vine over the top of the tub. Lately, she had seen Isabel there every evening for dinner, kneeling on the hard ground. "Isabel, are you saying a novena?" asked Esperanza when she found her at the statue yet again one night. "It seems you've been praying for at least 9 days." Isabel got up from her dedication and looked up at Esperanza. "I might be Queen of the May. In 2 weeks on May Day, there is a festival at my school and a dance around a pole with colored ribbons. The teacher will choose the best girl student in the 3rd grade to be queen. And right now, I am the only one who has straight A's." "Then it might be you," said Esperanza. "My friends told me that it's usually one of the English speakers that is chosen, the ones who wear nicer dresses. So I'm going to pray every day." Esperanza had thought about all the beautiful dresses she had outgrown in Mexico, how she wished she could have passed them on to Isabel. Esperanza began to worry that she would be disappointed. "Well, even if you're not the queen, you'll still be a beautiful dancer, right?" "Oh, but Esperanza, I want so much to be the queen. I want to be La Reina like you." She laughed. "But regardless, you will always be our queen." Esperanza left her there, devoutly praying, and went to the cabin. "Has a Mexican girl ever been chosen Queen of the May?" she asked Josefina. Josefina's face took on a disappointed look, and she silently shook her head no. "I've asked. They always find a way to choose a blonde, blue-eyed queen." "But that's not right," said Esperanza, "especially if it's based on grades." "There's always a reason. That is the way it is," said Josefina. "Melina told me last year the Japanese girl had the best marks in 3rd grade, and they still didn't choose her." "Then what's the point of basing it on marks?" asked Esperanza, knowing there was no answer to her question. Her heart already ached for Isabel. Junior, are you still there? Let's see. Junior, if you are still here and you talk to Danny, I don't know if you talk to him, but if you do, tell him that he and his sister should join us one day on the live stream, 11 o'clock a.m. every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And for everyone else on here to know, Junior's the one who gave me the mug with the Dominican flag on it that I drink from in school, and Danny and his sister, the one that I'm asking Junior about, is Paula and Paula's brother Danny. A week later, Esperanza put yet another bundle of asparagus on the table after work. The tall and feathery asparagus plants seemed to be as unrelenting as Isabel's desire to be queen. The workers picked up the spears from the fields, and a few days later, the same fields had to be picked again because new shoots were already showing their heads, and Isabel talked of nothing else except the possibility of wearing the winner's crown of flowers on her head. I hate asparagus, said Isabel, barely looking up from her homework. During grapes, you hate grapes. During potatoes, you hate potatoes. And during asparagus, you hate asparagus. I suppose that during peaches, you'll hate peaches? Isabel laughed. No, I love peaches. Hortensia stirred a pot of beans, and Esperanza took off the stained apron she wore in the sheds and put on another. She began measuring the flour to make tortillas. In a few minutes, she was patting the fresh dough that left her hands looking as if she wore white gloves. That's something. Maybe one day I will live stream on Instagram making tortillas. We have to do some cooking, I think. That would be fun. In a few minutes, she was patting the fresh dough that left her hands looking as if she wore white gloves. My teacher will choose the Queen of the May this week, said Isabel. Her entire body wiggled with excitement. Yes, you've told us, said Esperanza, teasing her. Do you have anything new to tell us? They're making a new camp for people from Oklahoma, said Isabel. Esperanza looked at Hortensia. Is that true? Hortensia nodded. They announced it at the camp meeting. The owner of the farm bought some army barracks from an old military camp and is moving them onto the property not too far from here. They get inside toilets and hot water and a swimming pool, said Isabel. Our teacher told us all about it, and we will all be able to swim in it. One day a week, said Hortensia, looking at Esperanza. The Mexicans can only swim on Friday afternoons before they clean the pool on Saturday mornings. Esperanza pounded the dough a little too hard. Did they think we're dirtier than the others? Hortensia did not answer, but turned to the stove to cook a tortilla on the flat black comal over the flame. She looked at Esperanza and held her finger to her mouth, signaling her not to discuss too much in front of Isabel. Miguel walked in, kissed his mother, then picked up a plate and a fresh tortilla and went to the pot of beans. His clothes were covered in mud that had dried gray. How did you get so dirty? Asked Hortensia. Miguel sat down at the table. A group of men showed up from Oklahoma. They said they would work for half the money, and the railroad hired all of them. He looked into his plate and shook his head. Some of them have never even worked on a motor before. My boss said that he didn't need me, that they were going to train the new men. He said I could dig ditches or lay tracks if I wanted. Esperanza stared at him, her floured hands in midair. What did you do? Max, be quiet. Can you not tell from my clothes? I dug ditches. His voice was sharp, but he continued eating, as if nothing were wrong. Miguel, how could you agree to such a thing? Said Esperanza. Miguel raised his voice. What would you have me do instead? I could have walked out, but I would have no pay for today. Those men from Oklahoma have families too. We must all work at something, or we will all starve. A temper Esperanza did not recognize raged to the surface. Then, like the irrigation pipes in the fields when the water is first turned on, her anger burst forth. Why didn't you tell your boss, or why didn't your boss tell the others to dig ditches? She looked at the dough she was holding in her hand and threw it at the wall. It stuck for an instant and then slowly slid down the wall, leaving a darkened trail. Isabel's serious eyes darted from Miguel to Esperanza to Hortensia. Are we going to starve? No, they all answered at the same time. Esperanza's eyes were on fire. She stamped out of the cabin, slamming the door, and walked past the mulberry and chinaberry trees to the vineyard. She hurried down a row, then cut over another. So that line there, Esperanza's eyes were on fire. Who can tell me what that means? Anyone. Esperanza's eyes were on fire. It's something that we call figurative language. And we actually call this a metaphor, kind of. Um, when we compare, I asked what that line means. Esperanza's eyes were on fire. When we compare two things, by saying, Esperanza's eyes were fire or on fire, that's called a metaphor. That's a good guess, Caitlin, that she was holding back tears. But I think what it actually means is that she was really angry. Okay. That's a good guess too, Zoe. Her eyes burn, and she may have been almost holding back tears out of anger. But yes, it's more that she was really angry. Okay. So that's what they meant there. Because see how it goes along with her actions. She stamped out of the cabin, slamming the door, walked past the mulberry tree. Esperanza! She heard Miguel's voice in the distance, but she didn't answer. When she got to the end of one row, she moved up another. Ansa! She could hear him running down the rows, catching up with her. She kept her eyes on the tamarisk trees in the far distance and walked faster. Miguel eventually caught her arm and pulled her around. What is the matter with you? Is this the better life that you left Mexico for? Is it? Nothing is right here. Isabel will certainly not be queen, no matter how badly she wants it, because she is Mexican. You cannot work on engines because you are Mexican. We have gone to work through angry crowds of our own people who have threw rocks at us, and I'm afraid they might have been right. They send people back to Mexico, even if they don't belong there, just for speaking up. We live in a horse stall, and none of this bothers you? Have you heard that they are building a new camp for Okies with a swimming pool? The Mexicans can only swim in it on the afternoon before they clean it. Have you heard they will be given inside toilets and hot water? Why is that, Miguel? Is it because they are the fairest in the land? Tell me, is this life really better than being a servant in Mexico? Miguel looked out over the grapes where the sun set low on the horizon, casting long shadows in the vineyard. He turned back to her. In Mexico, I was a second-class citizen. I stood on the other side of the river, remember? And I would have stayed that way my entire life. At least here I have a chance, however small, to become more than what I was. You obviously can never understand this because you have never lived without hope. She clenched her fists and closed her eyes tight in frustration. Miguel, do you not understand? You are still a second-class citizen because you act like one, letting them take advantage of you like that. Why don't you go to your boss and confront him? Why don't you speak up for yourself? Be more determined than others to succeed. But I know that it will happen. Aguantate tantito y la fruta cayera en tu mano. The words stopped her as if someone had slapped her in the face. Papa's words. Wait a little while, and the fruit will fall into your hand. But she was tired of waiting. She was tired of Mama being sick and Abuelita being far away and Papa being dead. And she thought about Papa. As she thought about Papa, tears sprang from her eyes, and she suddenly felt weary, as if she had been clinging to a rope, but didn't have the strength to hold on any longer. She sobbed with her eyes closed and imagined she was falling, with the wind whooshing past her and nothing but darkness below. Ansa, could I fall all the way back to Mexico if I never opened my eyes again? She felt Miguel's hand on her arm and opened her eyes. Ansa, everything will work out, he said. Esperanza backed away from him and shook her head. How do you know these things, Miguel? Do you have some prophecy that I do not? I've lost life would have been. These rows know where they are going. Straight ahead. Now my life is like the zigzag in the blanket on Mama's bed. I need to get up Belita here, but I cannot even send her my pitiful savings for fear my uncles will find out and keep her there forever. I pay Mama's medical bills next month, but next month there will be more. I can't stand your blind hope. I don't want to hear your optimism about this land of possibility when I see no proof. As bad as things are, we have to keep trying. But it does no good. Look at yourself. Are you standing on the other side of the river? No, you're still a peasant. With eyes as hard as green plums, Miguel stared at her, and his face contorted into a disgusted grimace. And you still think you're a queen. The next morning, Miguel was gone. He had told his father he was going to Northern California to look for work on the railroad. Hortensia was confused and worried that he would leave so suddenly, but Alfonso reassured her. He's determined, and he's 17 now. He can take care of himself. Esperanza was too ashamed to tell anyone what was said in the vineyard, and she secretly knew Miguel's leaving was her fault. When she saw Hortensia's anxiety, Esperanza felt the heavy responsibility for his safety. She went to Papa's roses, and when she saw the first bloom, her heart ached because she wished she could run and tell Miguel. Please, Our Lady, she prayed, don't let anything happen to him, or I will never be able to forgive myself for the things I said. How's everyone doing? Take a pause here for a moment. This chapter is going to get crazy in a minute. So Caitlin has James Potter's wand. So James Potter's birthday is in 3 days. Yeah. Sapala posted a cup of coffee. Are you drinking coffee, Sapala? Because I am. Good, but really bored. Sapala's starving. Zoe's just bored. Okay. What are some things you all miss the most right now from like normal life? Because I know a lot of people are bored, and a lot of people are probably missing things. You drink small cups of coffee, okay. Thank you, Zoe. I miss you all also. I actually miss every single student in our class very much. It's really weird because normally, like, when you are away from your class for a long time, you kind of have warning that it's coming, right? You're like, oh, okay, next week we go on vacation and then we come back. Or even at the end of the school year, it's like, okay, we're winding down the school year and you kind of have time to like say your goodbyes, right? But this is totally different. It was like we were in school and then all of a sudden we're gone and we don't know when we'll be there again. So yeah, it's difficult. Thank you for the kind words, everyone. I very much miss being in our classroom with our class and doing all the things that we get to do. And while I enjoy that a bunch of you show up here every day and type out messages, you know, I also miss our conversations and getting off track to talk about food, right? That's something I miss. So I'm going to finish the chapter, then I'm going to kind of talk about some other ideas and some things we might do. Esperanza kept her mind off Miguel by working hard and concentrating on Isabel. When Esperanza saw a lug of early peaches come into the shed, she set aside a bag to bring home to her. She just had to have them, especially today. As she walked down the row of cabins after work, she could see Isabel in the distance, waiting for her. Isabel sat up straight, primly, with her small hands folded in her lap, her eyes searching the row. When she saw Esperanza, she jumped up and ran toward her. As she got closer, Esperanza could see the tear streaks on her cheeks. Isabel threw her arms around Esperanza's waist. I did not win Queen of the May, she said, sobbing into the folds of her skin. I had the best grades, but the teacher said she chose on more than just grades. Esperanza wanted desperately to make it up to her. She picked her up and held her. I'm sorry, Isabel. I'm so sorry they did not choose you. She put her down and took her hand, and they walked back to the cabin. Have you told the others? Your mother? No, she sniffed. They are not home yet. I was supposed to go to Irene and Melina's, but I wanted to wait for you. Esperanza took her into the cabin and sat on the bed next to her. Isabel, it does not matter who won. Yes, you would have made a beautiful queen, but that would have lasted for only one day. A day goes by fast, Isabel, and then it's over. Esperanza bent down, pulled her valise from under the bed, and opened it. The only thing left inside was the porcelain doll. She had shown it to Isabel many times, telling her the story of how Papa had given it to her. Although a little dusty, the doll still looked lovely, its eyes hopeful, like Isabel's usually were. I want you to have something that will last more than one day, said Esperanza. She lifted the doll from the valise and handed it to Isabel. To keep as your own. Isabel's eyes widened. Oh, no, Esperanza, she said, her voice still shaky and her face wet with tears. Your papa gave her to you. Esperanza stroked Isabel's hair. Do you think my papa would want her buried inside a valise all this time, with no one playing with her? Look at her. She must be lonely. She's even getting dusty. And look at me. I'm much too old for dolls. People would make fun of me if I carried her around. And you know how I hate it when people laugh at me, Isabel? You would be doing me and my papa a favor, as if you would if you would love her. Really? Said Isabel. Yes, said Esperanza. And I think that you should take her to school to show all your friends. Don't you agree? I'm sure none of them, not even the Queen of the May, has ever owned anything as beautiful. Isabel cradled the doll in her arms, her tears drying on her face. Esperanza, I prayed and prayed about being Queen of the May. Our Lady knew that being Queen of the May would not last, but that the doll would be yours for a long time. Isabel nodded, a small smile beginning. What will your mama say? Esperanza hugged her. I have a meeting with the doctor this week, so if he lets me, I will ask her. But I think that mama would be very proud that she belongs to you. Then grinning, she held out the bag of peaches. I hate asparagus too. Esperanza and Hortensia waited in the doctor's office. Hortensia sat and tapped her foot, and Esperanza paced, looking at the diplomas on the wall. Finally, the door swung open and the doctor walked in, then scooted behind his desk and sat down. Esperanza, I have good news, he said. Your mother's health has improved and she'll be well enough to leave the hospital in a week. She's still a little depressed, but I think she needs to be around all of you. Please remember, though, that once she goes home, she will have to rest to build up her strength. There's still a chance of a relapse. Esperanza started laughing and crying at the same time. Mama was coming home for the first time in 5 months. Since Mama had entered the hospital, Esperanza's heart felt lighter. The doctor smiled. She's been asking for her crochet needles and yarn. You can see her now for a few minutes if you like. Esperanza ran down the hospital halls with Hortensia behind her to Mama's bedside, where they found her sitting up in bed. Esperanza flung her arms around her neck. Mama! Mama hugged her, then held her at arm's length and studied her. Oh, Esperanza, how you've grown. You look so mature. Mama still looked thin, but not so weak. Esperanza felt her forehead, and there was no fever. Mama laughed at her. It wasn't a strong laugh, but Esperanza loved the sound. Hortensia pronounced that her color was good and promised to purchase more yarn so that it would be waiting when she came home. You would not believe your daughter, Ramona. She always gets called to work in the sheds. She cooks now and takes care of the babies as well as their own mother. Mama reached up, pulling Esperanza to her chest and hugged her. I'm so proud of you. Esperanza hugged Mama back. When the visiting hour was over, she hated to leave, but kissed Mama and said her goodbyes, promising to tell her everything as soon as she came home. All week they prepared for Mama's homecoming. Hortensia and Josefina scrubbed the little cabin until it was almost antiseptic. Esperanza washed all the blankets and propped the pillows in the bed. Juan and Alfonso cushioned a chair and several crates under the shade trees so that Mama could recline outside during the hot afternoons. On Saturday, as soon as Esperanza helped Mama from the truck, she wanted a quick tour of Papa's roses, and she got weepy when she saw the blooms. Visitors came all afternoon, but Hortensia would only let people stay a few minutes. Then she shooed them away for fear Mama wouldn't get her rest. That night, Isabel showed Mama the doll and how she was taking care of it, and Mama told her that she thought Isabel and the doll belonged together. When it was time for bed, Esperanza carefully lay down next to Mama, hoping she wouldn't disturb her. But Mama moved closer and put her arms around Esperanza and held her tightly. Mama, Miguel is gone, she whispered. I know, mija, Hortensia told me. But Mama, it was my fault. I got angry and told him he was still a peasant, and then he left. It could not have been all your fault. I'm sure he knows you didn't mean it. He'll come back soon. He couldn't be away from his family for long. They were quiet. Mama, we've been away from Abuelita for almost a year, said Esperanza. I know, said Mama quietly. It does not seem possible. But I've saved money. We can bring her soon. Do you want to see how much? Before Mama could answer, Esperanza turned on the light, checking to make sure she hadn't woken Isabel. She tiptoed to the closet and took out her valise. She grinned at Mama, knowing how proud she would be of all the money orders. She opened the bag and her mouth dropped open. She couldn't believe what she saw. She tipped the valise upside down and shook it hard. It was empty. The money orders were gone. And that's the end of the chapter. So, what do you think happened to the money orders? Where'd they go? Any ideas, anyone? While you kind of make predictions in there, I'm going to jump over to the questions and ideas form that I sent out. I got 5 responses. Caitlin and Madison think Miguel took the money when he left. Whew. Zoe says, dun, dun, dun. Isabel is back. So I'm going to read some of the questions and ideas people had. Then I'm going to share some of my ideas. All right. So the first response I got was from Kaylee. And Kaylee asked, what is my favorite subject? So I would have to say that my favorite subject is social studies. And I find that it connects to so many different things. And I love how it's a combination of history, but also present day. So like we can learn things from history and use those lessons to apply to how we tackle difficult issues today. So social studies is my favorite subject. And then one idea Kaylee had is maybe we could play a Kahoot. And I think that's actually a great idea. I imagine there's a way to play it virtually, so I'm going to investigate that. And then maybe this week we'll live stream a Kahoot game. Maybe we'll even do it around questions for Esperanza or something else. We'll think about it. Do people like that Kahoot idea? So we like science best. Hey Sal, how you doing? Welcome to the party. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna get on the Kahoot idea and see if we can plan something. Great idea, Kaylee. I know you're not here right now, but maybe you'll watch this later on. Okay. Next question is from Joey. His question is the virus getting worse in America? Yes. The virus is getting worse in America exponentially. Let's see if we can find a chart for people to look at. I've seen some interesting charts the last few days. So let's see if we can look at one. You'll remember we had looked a few times in school. Um, okay, so let's see. Can I drop? Okay, so here's the first thing to look at. This map shows you the coronavirus by this is the New York Times here. So if you click there, you'll see the first thing you see is a map, um, and a map of the United States, and it shows you where the different cases are, and how many different cases are in each state. So you'll see by far the most cases are in New York State, where there's over 20,000. Um, I think the smallest is West Virginia, where there's only 16. So you'll see there are huge numbers in New York, most of them concentrated in New York City and Long Island, in like Westchester County. If you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see a chart. New coronavirus cases announced in the U.S. each day, and you can see there's, as of March, going from January 21st to March 23rd, how that's going up. Like over 10,000 cases announced yesterday. Um, so if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see a chart where it goes by state. By far, New York has like 10 times more than the next state. Um, so it's really um, in terms of the United States, our state has by far the most. Let's see if I can find any other interesting charts for you, because these were always interesting for us to look at in school. Um, I've seen a few places like line graphs comparing us to other countries. Um, let's see if I can find something like that for you. Um, let's see. Um, let's see. All right, I can't find anything right now, but I'll, you know. Oh, this is interesting. So this is from um, Johns Hopkins. Here's a really good. This shows like a global look at it. Okay, across the world. Um, okay, so this kind of shows where the most cases around the world are. Italy's been hit really hard. Spain is hit really hard. That's sort of coming up on Italy. You can see China has the most cases, but they've really slowed down. They've had a few days recently where they've had no new cases at all. Italy's next, then the United States, then Spain and Germany. So Europe and the United States are really like the big areas that this is happening in right now. All right, so that was to answer Joey's question. And his idea was have Mr. St. Pierre talks as a live stream to tell us new information. All right, well, that's kind of like what we're doing right now, I guess. So, but we can do more of those. All right, let's look. All right, next. Elias thinks I should stream myself playing Jedi Fallen Order. Well, I did throw that question out on last week. Should I buy it? I haven't bought it yet. And I'm afraid if I live streamed myself playing it, it would be terribly embarrassing, because I'm not really a good video gamer. So I don't think that I don't think I'm going to be very good if I do start playing it. But maybe you would all laugh at me and get some entertainment value out of it. All right. The next one is from, well, there's no name here. I think this references the poll I had posted, which was, I wrote, I need a haircut. What should I do? And the choices were: keep letting it grow. You'll look like Kylo Ren when we return to school. Just shave your head. Ask your wife to watch some YouTube videos on hair cutting, then ask her to cut it. And then the last choice was watch videos on YouTube, cut it yourself, and then live stream it for the class. No one thought I should shave my head, and no one thought that I should have my wife cut it. 43% of the people thought that I should watch videos on YouTube, cut it myself, and live stream it. And 57% of the people think that I should keep letting it grow, and look like Kylo Ren when I return to school. So we'll have to see. Maybe I'll do that. Right now, it's definitely longer than it's been in quite some time. So I'm going to see what happens there. I did order. So this is an interesting thing. It's interesting to find the things that are sort of like hard to get in stores right now, because I tried to order a buzzer, like to like a hair trimmer to do my hair, and it was really hard to find any. Because I guess what's happening now is everyone's giving themselves haircuts. So I did order one that should be here in a few days. Okay, and then the last question and idea is from Caitlin, who asks, how will we stop this whole coronavirus, do you think? That's a good question. I try and listen to the medical professionals who talk about the need for a long, extended shutdown where everyone just stays in. The challenging thing is that there are a lot of people who are doing that, but then there are other people who are not really taking that seriously. And I don't know if you've seen pictures of some of the beaches in Florida that are packed and stuff like that. And so, we all need to get on the same page, I think, and do the same thing. So I don't know. It concerns me. It concerns me about how we're going to stop this. It concerns me that I think we're really going to have a long stretch of time where things are not going to be normal. And I'm not totally sure when we're going to get back to normal. Obviously, I hope it's soon. And then Caitlin's idea is Crazy Hair Day, that we should all, that she said she'll take a picture of her hair when she wakes up. So good questions, good ideas. I'm going to work on the theme day idea, okay? And I'm going to work on some other ideas. I think I'm going to maybe live stream a different way to make a cup of coffee one day. Maybe an Instagram live stream of that. You've all seen me use the AeroPress in school, but maybe we'll do what's called the pour over method. That's a good way to do it. Let's see what our comments are here. Caitlin wants a baked potato. All right. Sal watched 2 of the Harry Potter movies. Sal's asking when our movie premiere is going to be. That's a good question, Sal, because we only have one scene recorded. And I don't know when we're going to be in school again. And even if we do return to school relatively soon, I don't know if we're going to be able to do big events where there's hundreds of people there. And you'll remember from your last year's movie, we have like 400 or 500 people come. So if we are able to get back into school and finish our movie, we may have to do a different type of premiere. I don't know. So we'll have to figure that out. But right now at this point, I'm just hoping we can get back to school and finish it. Let's see. People like the Kylo Ren thing. Zoe sorted her pets into Hogwarts houses. All right. Your brother thinks the virus is a joke, Caitlin? Okay. Zoe's dog is a Slytherin. I would stay away from that dog. Madison's a Slytherin. Slither Claw. All right. Raven Puff. Interesting. All right. Well, listen, everyone. It's been a lot of fun this morning. I'm glad we got to. Talk. Glad we got to read a little bit. Tomorrow we'll finish Esperanza Rising. So same time tomorrow. If your parents haven't checked their emails from last night, please have them check today. And if anyone has videos they can send me, by all means do it. And just know that I miss you all, and we will talk tomorrow. Check out Google Classroom later. I may post some new thoughts, ideas, and the theme day thing for next week. All right. Good talking to everyone. See you tomorrow.